And thank you all for coming to Candlelight Vinyasa Yoga this evening. My name is Julia and I'll be guiding you through your practice today. We're going to begin with our little William & Mary Campus Rec waiver. In order to make these classes as really accessible to our participants, we will be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you have moved nearby furniture and potential hazards. If you are participating in a yoga class or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. All right, so let's begin in a comfortable seated position on your mat. Sitting up nice and tall, stacking your shoulders over your hips, and resting your palms on your thighs face down for grounding or face up to receive energy. Allow the gaze to soften or the eyes to close. And let's begin with a deep, slow inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, cleansing exhale. Empty out all the air and deep, slow inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale. Once more, deep, slow inhale. And cleansing exhale. Emptying out all the breath from your lungs. And this time inhaling just a third of the way full and hold. Inhale 2/3, hold. Inhale all the way and hold at the top. Exhale 1/3, hold. Exhale 2/3, hold. Exhale all the way and hold at the bottom. Inhale 1/3, hold. 2/3, hold. 3/3, hold. Exhale 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 3, 2, 1. And feel free to continue this 3-part breath at your own pace. Or maybe return to your natural breath cycle, noticing how it may or may not be different from when you first stepped onto your mat this evening. Beginning to think of an intention for today's practice. An intention is a reminder throughout your practice. It can be a goal or an affirmation. It can be as simple as, I am enough. And together, let's seal our intention with a deep inhale and exhale. Blinking the eyes open, sitting up nice and tall. Let's bring our right ear towards our right shoulder. Slowly coming back through center, bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Come back through center, back over to the right, through center and to the left. Meeting back at neutral, reach your arms up overhead, side stretching over to the right, keeping the weight evenly distributed between the sits bones and keeping space between the shoulders and the ears. Through center to the left, through center and to the right, maybe going a little bit deeper. And again to the left. Back to center and twisting from the abdomen over to the right, keeping your chin over your chest for a twist. Through center, twisting to the left, lowering the arms, keeping the chin over the chest. Again, through center to the right. Once more to the left. Back to center, making your way to tabletop. Stacking your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Feet right behind your knees. If you look back, you should be able to see them. And on an inhale, dipping the back, bringing the gaze forward for cow. Exhale, leading with the belly button, rounding the back and tucking the chin for cat. Bringing the hips to your heels for child's pose. Resting your forearms on the mat as you pull through, dipping the back for cow bow. Coming up on the hands, cow. Rounding the back, cat, sinking the hips to child's. And pulling through, cow bow. Moving through this cycle at your own pace. Cow to cat, to child's, to cow bow. And meeting in neutral tabletop. Really pressing the roots of the fingers into the mat and pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Engage the core and hover the knees a couple of inches off the mat. And hold. Lower down. Take a breath. And hover. Lower down. Once more. Cover the knees. Lower them down onto the mat. Flipping the right palm over, touch each fingertip to your thumb, and reverse. Ball up your fist and straighten the elbow a little bit, giving that wrist a nice stretch. Shake it out. This time flipping the left palm over, tapping each fingertip to your thumb. Balling up your fist, straightening the elbow a little bit, and shake it out. Pressing your hands into the mat, tuck the toes and send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Paddling out the feet for this first one. Your chest coming towards your thighs. Pressing into the roots of the fingers. Coming up on the toes. Bending the knees and straighten the legs as you bring your heels closer to the mat. Finding stillness. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat and slowly walk your way forward to forward fold. Bending the knees generously. Shifting the weight a bit more forward so that your hips are over your ankles. Releasing the head and shoulders, nodding the head yes, and shaking the head no. Grounding through the feet as you slowly come all the way up with a flat back. Arms overhead, upward salute. Draw the hands through heart center to Tadasana, mountain pose. Building our Tadasana from the ground up. Grounding through the three corners of the feet, below the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and the heel. Drawing up through the kneecaps, externally rotate the shoulders, sending energy through the fingertips. Stacking your shoulders over your hips, over your ankles, and reaching through the crown of the head. Arms up. Soft bend in the knees as you fold forward with a flat back. Halfway lift. Tracing the fingertips up the shins, reaching through the crown of the head. Back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back with the left foot, and then the right into plank. Lower the knees, untuck the toes, and keep the elbows hugging in by your side as you lower all the way down. Resting your forehead on the mat. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, legs engaged, kneecaps lift. Without any weight in the hands, on an inhale, peel the chest off the mat for baby cobra, keeping the gaze lowered. And lower back down. Press your hands into the mat, tuck the toes. Press through tabletop to downward facing dog. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat, slowly walking forward to fold. And slowly coming all the way up with a flat back to Tadasana. Once again, reaching your arms up, upward salute, soft bend in the knees, forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back with the right foot and then the left to plank. Stacking your shoulders over your wrists, reaching through the crown of the head and pressing back through your heels, core engaged. Great job. And lower the knees, untuck the toes, and lower all the way down. With minimal weight in the hands, inhale, peel the chest off the mat, Cobra. Lower back down. Tuck the toes, and meet in downward facing dog. Lift the left leg to three-legged dog, dialing the pinky toe to point towards the mat so that the hips are level with one another. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, and plant the left foot. Lower the back knee, untuck the back toes for low lunge with your front knee stacked over your ankle. Shifting the left hip back and the right hip forward so that they're facing the top of the mat. And straightening the front leg to runner's lunge. Flowing between low lunge and runner's lunge at your own pace. And meeting in low lunge. Tenting your right fingertips to the inside of the left foot, open up towards the left for a twist. Keeping that left knee tracking over your ankle. And counter the twist, opening up to the right. Plant your hands on the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee. Send the left leg back to three-legged dog. Lower the toes to the mat. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat and slowly make your way to forward fold. Reversing your swan dive, upward salute. Tadasana. Taking a full breath cycle before coming right back up and folding forward. Halfway lift, back to fold, stepping back to plank. Knees on or off the mat, lowering all the way down. Tenting your fingertips out by your side, elbows pointing up towards the ceiling. Inhale, peel the chest off the mat for this Cobra variation. Dipping one shoulder and then the other if that feels good to you. Lower back down, press your hands into the mat, tuck the toes. Coming into downward dog. This time lifting the right leg to three-legged dog, bend the knee, draw it in, planting that foot, lower the back knee, untuck the back toes, low lunge. This time, making sure that our right hip is coming back and the left hip drawing forward, front knee over ankle. Straightening the front leg to runner's lunge, opening up the hamstring. And flowing between low lunge and runner's lunge at your own pace. Meeting in low lunge. Tend to your left fingertips on the inside of the foot. Open up towards the right for a twist. Great job. Encountering to the left. Plant both hands on the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee. Send the right leg back to three-legged dog, lowering your toes to the mat. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat and slowly walk forward. This time, bending the knees as much as you need to place one hand and then the other underneath the feet so that your toes are coming towards your wrist crease. Giving your hands a nice little massage, straightening the legs in any amount. Releasing one hand and then the other. Coming back up. Drawing your hands through heart center to your Tadasana. Once again, reaching your arms up. Drawing them through heart center and sitting back to chair pose, Utkatasana. You should still be able to see the tips of your toes, chest nice and lifted. Maybe sit a little bit deeper before folding forward. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back with the left foot and then the right to plank. You can lower all the way down for Cobra, or you can join me in coming forward on the toes, lowering halfway to Chaturanga, and pulling forward to upward facing dog, with the hips and the knees up off the mat, gaze forward. We'll all meet in downward dog. Bringing the left hand to your right ankle for a little twist. And reversing, bringing your right hand to your left ankle. Back to downward dog. Lift the left leg. This time bending the knee and opening up the hip, stacking one on top of the other, and drawing circles at the ankle. Switching direction. Squaring the hips, coming forward to three-legged plank and bringing your knee to your left elbow, hold. Back to plank, knee to right elbow, hold. Back to plank, knee to nose, and plant that foot. Coming up to crescent lunge. Your front knee over your ankle, hips facing forward, arms overhead. Tenting your fingertips to either side of your front foot, opening up to the left for a twist. Keep that knee tracking over your ankle. And counter the twist, lowering both hands to the mat, and step back to downward dog. Step or float to the top of the mat. Upward salute. Hands through heart center. Once again, sitting back into chair. This time coming up onto the toes. Lowering the heels back down. And folding forward. Halfway lift. Back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, and take a flow of your choice, which can be anything we've already done, or it can be as simple as cat and cow or child's pose. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg to three-legged dog, bend the knee, open up the hips, drawing circles with the ankle. Switching direction. Square the hips, come forward to three-legged plank, bring your knee to your right elbow, hold. Three-legged plank, knee to left elbow. Straighten and bring your knee to your nose, planting the foot, great job, and coming up to crescent lunge. Once again, knee over ankle, hips forward, up on the ball of the back foot. Lowering your hands to frame the foot, opening up to the right for a twist. And countering the twist, plant both hands on the mat and step back to downward dog. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat and step or hop to the top. Coming all the way up to Tadasana. Feel free to take a water break anytime. With hands at heart center, sitting back into chair pose. Shifting the weight up into the left foot and stepping back with the right to high lunge. Reaching the arms overhead. And you know where to go. We're going to frame the foot, open up to the left to twist. Counter. Plant both hands on the mat. And this time stepping forward to forward fold. Slowly coming all the way up, drawing the hands to heart center. And sitting back again into chair. This time shifting the weight into the right foot, stepping back with the left to high lunge. Arms overhead. Planting your fingertips on the mat, open up for the twist. And counter. Plant both hands on the mat and step forward to fold. Upward salute. Hands to heart center. And back to chair. You guys got this. This time, revolving over to the right and hooking the elbow to the outer edge of the thigh, keeping your knees even. Shifting the weight into the right foot and stepping back with the left to lunge. And opening up the hands, planting your left hand on the mat. And stepping the right foot back to side plank. If you need to modify, you can create a kickstand, or you can lower your knee. Really lifting up the hips though. If you need an extra challenge, you can lift that leg. Really opening up the chest. Bear with me, you all are doing great. Keep a slight micro bend in the elbow. And lower to plank. Downward dog. Lower the knees to the mat, untuck the toes, and send the hips back to child's pose, resting your forehead on the mat, bringing your hands, your arms down by your side. Reaching your arms out front, lifting the hips, tuck the toes, downward dog. Step or float to the top of the mat. Upward salute. Hands at heart center. Sit back into chair. This time twisting over to the left, hooking your elbow on the outer edge of your thigh. Keeping the knees even. Shifting the weight into the left foot and stepping back with the right to lunge. And lowering your right hand onto the mat for a twist. And stepping back to side plank, taking any modification that you need. Lifting up the hips, micro bend in the elbow. Amazing job, guys. Lower to plank. Send the hips back to downward dog. Lower the knees to the mat. Untuck the toes and hips to heels. Child's pose. Reaching your arms out front, lift the hips, tuck the toes, downward dog. Step or float to the top of the mat. Reaching up to Tadasana, pausing for a full breath cycle. Upward salute, swan diving forward, halfway lift, back to fold, plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, take a flow of your choice, meeting in downward dog. Lifting your left leg to three-legged dog, bend the knee, draw it into the chest and plant that foot, planting the back foot as well so that your feet are about hip width apart. Coming up to warrior one with your front knee stacked over your ankle, arms overhead, back foot planted as well, grounding through the outer edge of the back foot, hips angled towards the top of the mat. And interlacing your hands behind your back with the left thumb on top, elbows bent and reaching towards one another. Coming forward to humble warrior with your left shoulder coming towards the inside of your left knee. You can straighten your arms overhead for a shoulder stretch. Bending the elbows and slowly coming all the way back up to standing, reaching your arms overhead. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to downward dog. This time lifting the right leg to three-legged dog, planting the right foot and the back foot as well, feet about hip width apart, coming up to warrior one, knee over ankle. And interlacing your hands behind your back with the right thumb on top this time, elbows bent and reaching towards one another. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, forward to humble warrior. Extending your arms overhead if that feels good. Bending your elbows, slowly coming back up to warrior one, reaching your arms overhead. And planting your hands on the mat, step back to downward dog. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat, step or hop forward. And reverse your swan dive. Drawing hands through heart center. Tadasana. Upward salute, folding forward. Halfway lift. Back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, take a flow of your choice, and meet in downward dog. Lift the left leg. Set up for warrior one. Reaching the arms up, overhead. And this time, reaching the right arm forward as you bring the left arm back, coming into a twist from the core. Back to center. Bring your hands to your hips as you take a slight step in with the back foot, straightening the front leg with microbends in both knees, hips facing forward, interlacing your fingers behind your back with the left thumb on top, elbows bent, reaching towards one another. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold forward to pyramid pose. Option to extend your arms overhead. Bending the elbows, bring your hands to your hips. Ground through the feet as you slowly come up with a flat back. And stepping forward, Tadasana. Upward salute, folding forward. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant the hands, take a flow of your choice, and meet in downward dog. Lifting the right leg, coming forward, planting both feet, setting up for warrior one. Reaching up, bringing the left arm forward, right arm back to twist. And back to center. Taking a slight step in with the back foot, straighten the legs. Interlace your hands with the right thumb on top this time. Hips facing forward, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward to pyramid. Option to extend the arms. Bend the elbows, bring your hands to your hips, ground through the feet, slowly coming all the way up to standing, stepping forward to Tadasana. Taking a full breath cycle, coming back to the breath. Upward salute, forward fold, halfway lift, back to fold, plant the hands, step back to plank, take a flow of your choice if you'd like, or meeting in downward dog. Lifting the left leg to three-legged dog, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, plant the left foot, and plant the right foot so that your front heel is aligned with the back arch, and the back toes are angled towards the top of the mat as you windmill the arms up to warrior two. Your front knee stacked over your ankle, shoulders stacked over hips, reaching your arms out to a T, gaze over the front fingertips, really grounding through the outer edge of the back foot. Shoulder blades gliding down the back, beautiful. And flip the front palm, reaching overhead for reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Take a slight step in with the back foot, straighten the legs, keeping a micro bend in each knee. Bump out the back hip, reaching forward and lowering the fingertips to the shin for triangle. Your gaze can be lower to your foot, or you can tuck the chin and bring your gaze to your extended upper arm. Really opening up the chest here, staying light on the fingertips. And as if someone were pulling us up by the hand, coming back up to center, bring your hands to your hips. Parallel the feet with one another. And with a micro bend in each knee, lengthen the spine and fold forward from the hip creases. Wide-legged forward fold. Bringing the weight a little bit more forward into the balls of the feet. Releasing the head and shoulders. And lengthening the spine as you bring your left hand underneath the forehead and open up towards the right for a twist. Coming through center, planting the right hand underneath your forehead and opening up to the left. Twist. Back to center, bring your hands to your hips, ground through the feet, slowly coming back up to standing. And pivoting your feet for warrior two on the right side. Front heel aligning with the back arch, front knee over ankle, arms out to a T. Flipping the front palm, reaching your arm up over your ear, reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Stepping in with the back foot a little bit, straighten both legs, reaching forward, lower the fingertips to triangle. Opening up the chest here. And coming back up to standing, windmilling the arms forward to plant your hands on the mat, step back to downward dog, and step or float to the top of the mat. Upward salute. Draw the hands through heart center to Tadasana. And upward salute. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Back down to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank. Take a flow of your choice. And meet in downward dog. Lift the left leg. Set up for warrior two. Windmill the arms up. This time, reaching forward and lowering the elbow to your thigh. Reaching the arm over the ear for extended side angle. Still keeping the front knee stacked over your ankle and grounding through the outer edge of the back foot, opening up the chest. And flowing through reverse warrior and extended side angle at your own pace. Meeting in warrior two. Again, step in with the back foot, straighten the legs. Maybe stepping in a little bit more this time. And swiveling your right arm forward, the left arm back, reaching forward, lowering the fingertips to revolved triangle. Bring your left fingertips to meet the right, opening up to counter on the right. And using your core to lift yourself back up to standing. Bring your hands to your hips, parallel the feet to one another, wide-legged forward fold. Bending into the right knee and the left, flowing back and forth at your own pace. Back to center, bring your hands to your hips, come back up. And warrior two on the other side. Front heel aligning with the back arch. Reach forward, extended side angle. Flowing between reverse warrior and side angle at your own pace. Meeting in warrior two. Step in with the back foot. Straighten both legs, swivel the left arm forward and the right arm back. Reach forward, revolve triangle. Bring your right fingertips to meet the left and open up for a counter. Use the strength of your core to lift yourself back up to standing and windmill the arms down, planting them on the mat. Step back to downward dog. And stepping forward to forward fold. Upward salute. Tadasana. And with your hands at heart center, sitting back into chair pose. Shifting the weight into the right leg, stepping back with the left to high lunge. Reaching the arms up overhead. This time, bringing the left arm underneath the right as you come into eagle arms, lifting the elbows up, hands coming away from the body. And take a slight back bend if that feels good to you. Unravel the arms. And bring your hands to your hips as we slowly fold forward, lifting the back foot off the mat, coming forward to warrior three. Hands can be at heart center, back behind you, or out in front. Grounding through the standing leg. Creating one line between the top of the head and through your back heel. Engaging the core to help keep your balance. Great job. And slowly coming back up to standing, bending your left knee into the chest, clasping your hands around the calf, and reaching back with your left arm to twist. Back to center. Lower your foot back down to the mat, Tadasana. Hands to heart center, chair pose. And shifting the weight into the left leg, stepping back with the right. Arms up overhead. Coming into eagle arms with the right arm wrapping underneath the left. Elbows up. Slight back bend. Back to neutral. Unravel the arms. Bring your hands to heart center as you slowly lift the back toes off the mat, coming forward to warrior three. Taking any arm position, whichever one you prefer. Really engaging the core. Reaching to the crown of the head, pressing back through your heel. Micro bend in the standing leg. And coming back up to standing, bending your right knee into the chest, clasping your hands around the calf. And reaching back with the right arm to twist. Back to center. Lower back down to Tadasana. Hands at heart center. And back to chair pose once again. This time, shifting the weight into the right leg, stepping back with the left. And lifting the back legs, coming forward to eagle. You can have crossing your left thigh over the right. You can have your toes kickstanded onto the mat, or you can bend a little deeper, wrapping the leg around, keeping the chest nice and lifted. Left arm underneath the right. Really squeezing into the midline, sinking a bit deeper. Beautiful. Unraveling the arms and unraveling the legs, back to Tadasana. Hands at heart center, one last chair pose, make it your best one. Shift the weight to the left leg, step back with the right. And lifting the toes off the mat as you cross your right thigh over your left. Sinking as deep as you'd like in your eagle pose. Wrapping your right arm underneath the left. Reaching your elbows up. Sinking as deep as you can, keeping the chest lifted. Grounding through the 3 corners of the foot. Unravel the arms, unravel the legs. Upward salute and forward fold. Halfway lift Back to fold, plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, taking one last flow of your choice. Meeting in downward dog. Lifting the left leg to three-legged dog, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, planting the left foot, walking the left foot out to the edge of your mat, bringing your left hand to the inside, planting your hands on the mat, lizard pose. And lowering the back knee, untucking the back toes. Keeping your left knee stacked over your ankle. Placing your right arm underneath your forehead as you open up towards the left for a twist. Planting both hands on the mat, walking the foot back towards center, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, send the left leg back to downward dog. This time lifting the right leg, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, plant that foot, walk the foot to the outer edge of the mat, both hands on the inside. Lizard. Lower the back knee, untuck the back toes. Planting your left hand underneath your forehead, open up for a twist to the right. And walk your foot back to center, planting both hands on the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the knees, send the right leg back to downward dog. Lower your knees to the mat, untuck the toes, and send the hips back to child's pose with your arms down by your side, resting your forehead on the mat. Reach your arms out in front, lift the hips, and make your way into a seated position with your legs stretched out in front of you. Tadasana staff pose. Reaching through the crown of the head and folding forward in any amount. Coming back up to center. Stretching your legs out wide. Hovering your fingertips above the mat as you lengthen through the spine and revolve to face your right leg, folding forward in any amount. Back to center, lengthen through the spine and revolve to face your left leg, folding forward. Back to center, bring your legs back to Tadasana. Reach your arms out in front and slowly lower all the way down onto your back. Bending your knees into the chest and reaching your legs up towards the ceiling. Slowly lowering them down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bending the knees into the chest, straightening the legs out once again. Up towards the ceiling and lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees, straighten them one last time. Lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this time, bending the knees, placing the soles of the feet together, knees coming out wide. Heels can be closer or farther away from your sits bones, whatever's comfortable for you. Arms out to the side, Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound ankle. Using your hands to guide your legs closed, planting both feet on the mat, about hip width apart, lifting your right leg, externally rotating it at the hip, and bending your knee, crossing your right ankle over your left thigh, lifting your left foot off the mat, interlacing your hands around your left thigh for the supine pigeon pose. And bringing your arms out to a T as you lower the feet over towards the left for a twist, keeping the gaze up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like, you can bring the gaze over your right shoulder. Bring the gaze back to center. Bring the feet back to center, uncross the legs, planting both feet on the mat. Windshield wipering your knees from side to side. Back to center, this time lifting the left leg, externally rotate at the hip, crossing your ankle over your right thigh. Lifting the right foot, interlacing your fingers around the thigh. Supine pigeon. Flexing the feet to protect the knees. And bringing your arms out to a T as you lower your feet over to the right for a twist. Gaze up towards the ceiling. Or bringing your gaze over your left shoulder if that feels good. Bring your gaze back to center, bring the legs back to center, uncross them. Hug your knees into the chest, rocking a little back and forth, side to side. Reach for the outer edges of your feet and bring your knees in towards your armpits for happy baby. Release the legs, laying them flat on the mat. Laying your arms down by your side. As we settle in and prepare for Shavasana, allow the gaze to soften or the eyes to close. Doing a full body scan from the top of the head through the tips of your toes, releasing any remaining tension. Paying attention to your jaw, unclenching your jaw, unclenching your fists, relaxing your shoulders, and settling into your Shavasana. Starting to bring awareness back into the body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, drawing circles with the wrists and the ankles. And reaching your arms overhead for a full body stretch. Using your arm as a pillow as you roll onto your right side. And use your hands to push yourself up into a comfortable seated position. With your palms together at your forehead to inspire kind thoughts, to your lips to inspire kind words, and to your hearts to inspire kind intentions. Namaste, yogis. Thank you all so much for coming to Candlelight Vinyasa this evening. Again, my name is Julia, and have a great rest of your evening.